Morning, David.
Good morning, Bill. How are you this morning?
Yeah,
I shouldn't ask, huh?
yeah, yeah. It's been actually a rough week. Uh, I felt real good a week and a half ago, and I probably overdid it. And the knee got very angry for a few days, so it's better now. But it's been a kind of lost week.
Oh, that's too bad. I'm sorry.
Well, now I know what I can't do.
Well, you have to, I guess, progress in stages.
Yes, yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I was doing some gardening actually, and it felt very good, and I limited myself. I did it 3 or 4 days in a row without any ill effects, and on the fifth day, it whoa. So
Well, so that was a lesson.
that was a lesson, yes.
Morning, Adam.
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you?
Good. How are you this morning?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
Today's class will be in the office.
Oh, you're in the office?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was going to say the background is different than usual.
Yeah, it is.
yeah, yeah. My boss is off on PTO today. She's actually on vacation this week, so it'd be tough to not be here early this morning. So I just figured I'd lock the door and hope no one comes knocking.
Well, I hope they don't.
Although I hope you didn't record me saying that, David.
I did.
Yeah, he did.
But we won't share it with anybody that counts.
Perfect. How are you guys?
Okay.
Actually, our hydrofracking worked well, so I am
Oh,
good.
Great. Great. Glad to hear that.
For that amount of money, I would hope it does.
Oh, yeah, I know. I know.
But it did. We seem to be just fine with water now, so
Good.
we're still being a little careful, but able to go back to more or less normal life.
Well, that's good. And I'm sure the little bit of rain we had yesterday helped too.
Yeah, we got it really came down for a while here.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a wild drive.
Oh, was it?
Work yesterday. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's no fun.
No, but I made it.
You
Hopefully
made-
everyone else did too.
I'm glad you made it.
yeah.
uh,
So
Well-
do they tell you, David, how much it increased by the water? Or
no, they didn't do that. And I think maybe it's because actually initially there was virtually none.
Yeah, okay.
So it wasn't a matter of increasing from a
Yeah.
known flow.
So they just tapped in and freed it up. Yeah.
Apparently, it was interesting. They said, are actually my plumber well guy who was also there because he had to pull the pump and put it back in. Said that the lead guy doing the fracking said that it actually had gone very well. That there were no refusals or even indication of starting to refuse. That's their term for when they force the water in under pressure. If it doesn't release and get some response, that's not good. But apparently it worked all the way down the well. So
Nice.
So I'm I'm still nervous. I'm still being cautious and
Yeah, well, that's understandable,
but it actually did very well.
Good.
Come on, Mr. Bynum. Of course, wouldn't you know that the day after we got water, the next day our power went out for 7 hours.
Oh,
Oh, oh, can't catch a break, huh?
Well, and also both of our toilets started, not shutting off when they fill.
oh, yeah.
Both
Huh.
of them, the same day. I mean, it was like, come on, guys.
Wow. Always something, right?
But that's been fixed, and so we're doing well.
You can shower, you can go to the toilet. I mean,
Yeah,
what more
all
could you
those
want? Yeah.
all those good things.
Yeah.
Ah,
What else
well,
do you need, right?
Yeah.
yeah, right. Well, I don't know where Mr. Bynum is. Maybe he's having what internet problems. Joanne will not be with us today. She had a friend who was very tragically killed. And so she's not going to be here today.
Jeez.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
She had a very tough night, I guess. And
Oh,
she's just not, her mind is not,
Well, of course.
yeah,
it's understandable.
yeah. So, I haven't heard from the other Bill, so we'll just go ahead.
Okay.
All right.
So, what's happening in your practice?
I thought things were going good. Then I watched the recording from last week, and man, a lot of questions, David.
Okay.
I guess just kind of to clarify, is feeling the energy and moving your mind and moving your intention through your arm and the like all the joints and the crook of the elbow.
Mm-hmm.
Should those be three distinct things?
As you're first doing it, yes, doing the as Bruce puts it, the pool ball method. Yes, you should feel each one of them sequentially. Is that what you're asking?
I guess almost. I guess I'm asking not like should I feel the joints sequentially, but should I feel moving the energy is different than moving my mind through the body, and is that different than moving my intention through the body? My impression from the talk was at some point all three of those are the same thing, and you're not thinking about doing any of it, you just do it and feel.
Well, that was a pretty good summary, Adam.
Okay. I wanted to make sure I understood correctly.
No, absolutely. No, that's a very good question. So in stages, yes. So the first thing is, and we're going to work on this some more today, so I think maybe it'll be clearer by the time we to the end of today, but let me answer your question. So initially, you have learning to actually feel yourself moving your mind through your body. And that is a distinct, separate piece, if you will. And then the next thing is using that to help you feel the movement of the energy through, in this case, we're talking about from the spine to the fingers and back. And then the third stage eventually is that you do it simply with your intent. You're no longer focusing on using the movement of the mind to move the energy, but using your intent to move the energy.
Okay.
Now, did that confuse you, or did that clarify?
So that clarified. That clarified. So I guess, yeah, no, that clarified.
Okay.
I think differentiating between moving the mind through the body and doing anything with intent at this stage feels very similar to me. I think on an intellectual level, I understand what you're saying, that doing things from the intention is almost like a spontaneous act where you just, like if you're going to put a glass away from the dishwasher, you don't really think about what you're doing. You just say, I'm going to do the dishes and start doing stuff.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the goal, is to say, well, I'm going to just start moving some energy, and you move it without thinking, I need to move my mind through my body, and I need to. Okay.
And also, really, intent really comes into play when you get to the water hose.
Okay.
Okay. Because if you're still at the stage of focusing on the pool ball method of feeling it from one joint to the next, you're still working with the mind. Extending the chi through the body.
Okay.
And when you get to the intent, it just goes.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, David. That makes it a lot clearer.
Sure. No, good question. You said you had a lot of questions. You have another one?
So the crook of the elbow that you're referring to, how deep are we talking? I mean, is that like a cavity in the body, or
No.
is that just like on the surface, that little indentation is all we're trying to connect to? Or are we really trying to connect to like the inside space between the bones of the elbow?
So there are two layers, if you will, that we were talking about last week. One is at the skin level, in the crook of the elbow, right in the inside of the elbow, because it's easy to feel that. But you're actually wanting to move the energy through the middle of the elbow. So we actually were doing both by the end of the class last week.
Okay.
And trying to feel both simultaneously.
Okay.
And
I think those were the big ones for me.
okay. Yeah. Morning, Mr. Bynum.
Good morning. For some reason, my computer didn't want to get on the internet, so I'm on an iPad right now.
Oh, okay. You seem to have interesting problems down there.
We do have interesting problems.
Either Bill have a question?
Not really. What Adam asked really crystallized, what goes on with me too. And I guess I find myself sliding among those three things: the intent, et cetera.
Yep.
Um, and, and being frustrated and bothered about not being able to stay in one mode, phase, whatever,
Mm.
it just sometimes I feel like the water hose is working. Other times not. Sometimes the intent is there, and then I get caught up thinking or feeling the energy moving, whereas I started with the intent and it just sort of shifted midstream.
Mm.
So Adam's questions and your responses help in that regard. So
Yeah, that simply, at least partially, sounds to me like it's a question of keeping your mind in the present moment and
yeah,
not shifting.
yeah.
Um, easy for me to say, not always easy to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, distraction, internal and external, is always a challenge.
Yeah.
But for me, I with the mind intent does work somewhat, but it is a difficult thing to pin down. And the fire hose image is good, but I find when I combine that with our whole the extending and relaxing back,
Mm-hmm.
thinking about opening the joints and everything, that with the fire hose, if I put those together, that's when I get the most palpable feeling of an energy flow.
Mm-hmm.
Combining those things. And it's funny, the fire hose thing, long before I knew anything about Tai Chi, I think it was probably 24, 25, was at an Army Reserve meeting. And this guy who was had just gotten into martial arts did what I now sort of think of as one of the categories of, I call it maybe slightly irreverently Tai Chi tricks. But that thing where you stick your arm out and you just stick it out and you can make it go down, and you stick your arm out and you think about it being, and he did that. He said, think about it being a fire hose, and you can't, you got the pong going. And that was my first introduction, long before Colchester, to anything with energy intent. It was a fire hose image at an Army Reserve meeting. So now we're back to the fire hose image. So it's an interesting circle here.
Yes.
55 years later.
So I guess one of the things I would say is that, like, all of the things that we're working on take time to develop. And arriving at a stage where you are simply functioning with intent is not going to happen immediately. As a matter of fact, it may take considerable time. And so I think it's important to not force it or expect it of yourself that it's going to happen right away on a consistent basis, and to make use of the pool ball method, making sure that you are clearly feeling the flow of the energy through every single part. And then the fire hose can work. Otherwise, the fire hose ends up having holes in it. So don't jump to the end. Go through the stages. Make sure that you really complete them.
Okay.
Okay.
I just comment briefly. One thing that seems to happen, sometimes I'm thinking about, everything we're doing and mind intent when I'm just sitting still and not moving.
Mhm.
And I think about the energy moving through the body that way. And that seems to have a quieter dimension. I can feel more in touch in some ways that way than when I'm, I almost inevitably think about mechanics or what the last cycle was a little bit different than the one before it. And
Yep.
But just, I guess meditating on it without the form brings some level of richness.
Absolutely. No, that's no, that's an excellent practice. It's part of what Master Joe was talking about when he said, that you can be practicing Tai Chi all the time, 24 hours a day.
Mm.
You don't have to go quite to his level with that, but you can be doing that at any point when it doesn't interfere. It's not, I don't recommend doing it when you're driving, but we often have, moments or times during the day when we have to wait for something or we're not doing anything. You could have 5 minutes of practice that way. And indeed, that can be very rich practice. Have I told you, I probably have I told you the story about the teachers getting, one day a group of Tai Chi teachers were talking together and one was saying that you could make real progress without actually moving, just by sitting and going through in your mind. He was challenged on this and he agreed. They probably had a bet, I'm not really sure, but he agreed to not physically practice for 6 months.
Whoa.
And to only practice in his mind. And they videotaped him. And I think there were some other things they did as well, but I know that they said the amazing thing was that he had made very obvious progress in 6 months, simply in the video, not to mention the energetic progress. So, but that also takes a great deal of discipline to do that. But it can be very very useful kind of practice. So Bill's absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. So Bill Bynum, sorry, because you weren't able to get on. Joanne's not with us because she had a close friend who was tragically killed last few days, and so she just couldn't be with us today, understandably so. So as your hands first rise up and they're coming out of your back, what you have to do is get the chi coming up your spine to go through your shoulders, through your elbows, and as your fingers reach out, to go from the elbows to the fingers. So In doing movement one, let me make myself visible here. Actually, I'm going to leave it this way, just in looking at the arms. So as we go into this, we're thinking of that the energy going up the spine and to the shoulders, out through the elbows, the wrists, and out the fingers. And then coming back in to the chest and down the body, down to the dantian. So it is, you want to think of those, and when it's coming down, let me finish that, sorry. So as it's going up, you have shoulders, elbows, wrists, fingers, shoulders, chest, elbows, wrist, fingers again, and then back through. So you're doing that through that movement. And as we look at just that basic movement, we have to consider that in movement one, when your hands are coming back, you're trying to get the energy to move inside of your organs. In movement one, then, you're first starting, you don't have to be concerned if you're getting the chi to come down your body. When you first start, the big thing you need to be concerned about is that your chest is relaxed and your hands coming back are clearly causing everything inside your abdominal cavity to be moving along the spine and getting space inside of the abdominal cavity. So once you can do that comfortably, as your hands are coming back towards your body, you're making that chi come back. So you really want to be aware that when you get up to this point and the chi goes out, that you are continuing to extend back, drawing the energy in, fingers, wrists, shoulders, and down the spine. Notice too that when you extend the fingers and you continue extending them, that you're not locking the joints. There's a very slight curve remains in those. And that's important because if you go out and lock the joints, the fingers out straight, you just have blocked the energy returning back. So you want to consider in this that getting the intent through your body, you have to time yourself. That intent is coming up your spine to the shoulder, through your elbow, through your wrist, to your fingers, and now you can keep the chi still moving as it moves into you and as it's coming back. Can you have it do that? Can you have it that you don't get fingers extended and then stop and start again? It has to be that when you get all the way out, the coming back doesn't have a break. And that's what you're after. So you have your intent. And let's try and understand one thing, that what we've been doing is pretty much from the shoulder. But you can also have your intent go up your spine, because it's going to be from your spine that it's going to go to your shoulder. And it's going to be as it comes from your spine to the throat notch, that there is going to be a natural crossing over. And that's actually what's going to join the energy of the left and the right sides of your body to each other. So just making sure you understand that. So this is saying that the energy comes up and crosses over to the opposite arm. And then when it comes back, it crosses again as it goes into the spine. So I'll ask you to stand up. Let's play a little with this. So breathe. Feel your structure. And sync your mind through your body. And then extend your mind. And then begin to go into movement 1. And as your hands start to go up, somewhere around the middle of your rising movement, you have to make it go through your shoulder. And then it connects across the collarbones. And your intent goes through the elbow joint. But the elbow joint itself has to open, as do the wrists, and all the way to the fingertips. And then you start going back. And as you go back, you keep on extending your hands, bringing the energy in. And then you make it go down and move inside of your abdominal cavity. And your hands come on down and out to the sides. As you do this, try to make the movement very smooth, no breaks. Make sure you rotate the elbows down. There is one thing that is somewhat important here, and that is that this is not Tai Chi. The intent is different. This is not soft and very velvety and flowing. This movement is not soft and velvety. This movement has clear extension, clear coming in, clear going down. So there actually is yang qi going all the way to your fingertips. And you want to have a sense of something, some yang oomph in that movement. The purpose is simply to get the qi moving where it needs to go. And how it needs to go. Tai Chi has all sorts of things about it. When you're incredibly soft, and all that incredibly soft stuff is about using it as a martial art. It isn't necessarily required for the movement of the energy. So feel the extension through the fingers is complete. And then you bend your elbow and extend further back to yourself. Extension through the fingers and extending back are two different things. This is how it's opening up the chi of the body. Now, another point, when your arms are coming up, they are extending. And as they go back, they are still extending. You extend, and then you still extend. It's not extended and then you come back. It's extend and continue to extend like you're making a big circle. And the circle doesn't break. It just changes direction. So by the time your hands have come all the way down, you should feel as though the way you're bringing it down your chest, it has gone right to the bottom of your pelvis. So complete that movement and pause and relax. Now, what did you feel in that?
Felt like you could feel a difference between I guess overdoing coming back in and the joints of the wrist and elbow bending too much and getting shut off versus them staying open and the energy just sort of like pouring down through the fingertips, through the arm. It seemed like you could tell the difference between setting up the right conditions for the energy just to come in versus trying to make it come in.
Good.
And overdoing kind of the bending.
Yeah, I think the continual extending as you're coming back was very, very helpful. That changed mine immediately almost.
Yep. No, that's an important point, and it's and finding how to do that so that you continue to extend, but you don't overdo it. It's kind of a fine line there, because you've gone out and now you're going to come back in, and it's got to be not tight enough and try to force it in, but to pull that energy with you. So good. Anything else, Bill?
No, not really anything different. Just more aware of the energy coming. Not necessarily. I've been aware of the energy coming back into the hands and up the arms, but maybe, tracking through the shoulders, and I honestly hadn't had the energy going through the organs on the way down.
Mhm.
And I was trying to be more aware of that this
Yeah.
morning. Yeah.
Another point,
I did have
Yeah.
a question.
sure.
At the beginning, when you say the energy coming up the spine instead of starting at the shoulders, but coming up the spine, I'm assuming that we start in the dantian and end in the dantian, or does it go all the way down to the floor?
Well, of course, it does both of those things.
Yeah, okay.
But at the moment, you're just trying to be aware of it to the
Where,
dantian.
yeah, okay.
But yes. So another, oh, I'm
I
sorry.
do have the crossover thing.
Yeah.
I'm not getting any crossover. I'm getting it coming up through, originating down in the center and coming up, I would say more through the core than through specifically the spine.
Uh-huh.
But I feel like it's somehow getting into the arms as I'm extending, but I'm not getting any crossover activity here.
You have to cross your eyes, Bill.
Perhaps. So, one of the ways to I'm trying to think how to
Yeah, I guess what's elusive is trying to have some kind of energetic awareness in the vicinity of the clavicles.
Mhm.
Just didn't happen for me.
So it's easier actually in the energy coming in, because it comes in and it goes through, and it can go to the other side. You can have a sense of that crossover from the coming in. The going out is more difficult because it's coming from the spine, and it seems like you have a single one coming up and doing something up here. And so it is coming up and going out and coming back in and going down, and it's there is the sense that rather than it just coming up and splitting, that it has to divide and go across to the opposite side. It's a sort of a not an intuitive thing. I can't.
I even in front terms of the image, I'm thinking of the spine is like this one. We only got one spine, so what's crossing over? If it's emanating from the spine, crossover implies two things.
Yep, it
going
does.
in the opposite directions. So,
so I don't think I can give you a clear explanation. It's almost as if it doesn't do that, David.
We could come back to this. This is my.
Yeah, I realize I can't really clarify that for you. It's a felt thing, and it's not. I mean, the energy. If we think of the energy coming up the spine, and it's going to divide and go, then there have to be two parts at that point. And so there has to be some, it's not just separate, but somehow there is a crossing there. So it separates and crosses to the opposite side, because that's how, if you think about yin and yang, that one of the things that we're frequently looking for in Tai Chi, just as a way of clarifying here, is that if one leg is yang, the opposite arm is yang. And the opposite leg and arm are yin. So it's a crossing of the body. And it's that kind of sense of getting the balance and the connection between the two sides. And yin and yang are certainly part of the whole image here, but I'm just bringing that up as a way of perhaps kind of beginning to clarify why you want to have that sense, because you need that balance of connection between the sides, and there it is. I can't.
Okay.
I don't think I can clarify that any further at the moment.
Okay.
David, I think it was, I want to say 3 weeks ago, where we talked a little bit about crossing over.
Yeah.
I don't know, Bill, if you want to go back and watch that video. It was either like 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yep. Right.
Where it was pretty good. I tend to think about it as, you know, even though it's one spine, the spine's a pretty prominent bony structure in the body. It's pretty big, and so it's sort of like a wide, you know, permanent marker coming up your body. And so it's one thing, but there's two edges on it, and it's like the energy from the right and left side of the spine crossing over is kind of what it feels like to me.
Yeah. There's also clearly movement posterior and anterior. But that's interesting. I'll try to get a little more clarity about that. So one of the other things I wanted to mention was in getting the energy to go down is that you really have to keep your chest relaxed and sinking. You have to actually get the top of your chest actually coming down into you, so that's kind of an important point, because although this is kind of a big thing, remember what's also in your chest, your heart and your lungs. And you have to get to them while you're still causing this pressure as you're going back to the spine. So you're also trying to get the chi to really solidly move through those internal organs as well as the others in the lower abdomen. So when you want to move physical tissue in your body, the easiest way to do it is to get your intent going through the tissue clearly and unambiguously. So you're not wondering, am I doing this or am I not? So the next one is you have to do this to actually move the tissue. And sometimes if you just go straight for the tissue, your intent may break up in the middle of it somewhere. So you have something that actually is this long, and you get this little part, and then you miss that one, and you get this one, but you don't get that last little bit. And you get, but when you get used to having your intent go through, then you'll know if you're actually getting what it is you're trying to move. So what are the yin and yang meridians? Just to remind us about that. If you slap the inside of your arm, it'll sting. And that's the yin side. If you slap the outside, it doesn't sting as much anyway, or maybe at all, depending on your arm. However, the yang meridians, which are on the outside, are stronger, which is why you can hit them and you won't feel as much. It may feel like nothing. Yin is what brings in that which nourishes the body. The yang meridians are what enables the body to output, to do something, but yin nourishes it. So the yin surfaces are softer, and if you can't remember which is yin or yang, it's pretty easy. Slap yourself and you'll find out in a moment or two. So it's pretty easy in the arm. The front of the body, going from the top of the head, down the face, down your chest, down to the pelvis, that's yin. And the back, coming up from the sacrum all the way up to the top of the head, is yang. And in the legs, it's the outside of the legs is yang, the inside of the legs is yin. So what I'm saying here is that we're talking about, we want to talk about the meridians. And those are the acupuncture meridians. They're the channels through which the acupuncture energy flows through your body. And this could be confusing because there are a lot of other meridians in your body that have nothing to do with acupuncture. But just for the moment, the acupuncture meridians are what we're working with. Now, the method of doing this in Gods, which is done in many forms of Qigong, is very simple. And there are methods of Qigong where you go through and you do things to control points, and you literally will end up working each of the individual 12 meridians of your body one by one. The great trouble is that those methods never have less than 100 movements, and 150 is actually fairly common. And the modern world, with the time people have, they normally neither have the time nor really the will to be able to do that much. In China, people have the idea that you should have an immense amount of patience. And so they don't first find that doing this form of Qigong offends their natural expectations. But in the West, it does so. If it's got a few movements, you have a chance of actually doing it. And the effective way of doing this is that you affect all of the yang meridians at once, and you affect all of the yin meridians at once. Even if you're only on the surfaces, they will flow to the appropriate meridians as is necessary. So if you move your qi through yin and yang meridian surfaces of the body, you will activate all the acupuncture meridians. Now, when we start with the arms, and as we do in the beginning, when you hold your hand up like this with the palm facing the middle and the thumb up, the outside of your arm is yang and the inside yin. And from your face down, your chest down to your pelvis, that's yin. And from the base of your spine up the back of your head is yang, and the outside of your legs yang, and the inside yin. And that's all you have to know. That is it. So we want to get the energy to move through those surfaces without stopping, without breaking. We want it to go out the yang and come back in the yin. So I want you to stand up and simply hold your arms out with the palms facing each other and the thumbs up. You want to feel your mind is coming up from your spine and going down to your shoulder. Out along your arm, all the way to your fingers. Down the outside, have your intent do that. It's very important to have the intent moving the chi. And then have it go back, the yin. And then I want you to just begin now, as the energy comes in, to bend the arms in. And as the energy goes out, extend the arms out. Very simply, stretch, and the energy goes out the yang surface, and as you bend it, it comes back, it comes in the yin surface. Stretch and go out the yang, then bend and come back in the yin. Feel the yang on the outside and the yin on the inside. And then feel it going up the back and out the outside of the arm. And then coming in the inside of the arm, all the way down the front of the torso to the bottom. So up and out the outside. from in and down the inside, down to the pelvis. Moving the energy with your mind, or maybe even your intent. And now relax your arms for a minute. And just stand. Really feel your mind inside the body. Feel it traveling through your body. And so now do movement 1. Have your mind traveling along the outside of your arm to your fingertips, and then traveling inside your arm, down the front of your body, your belly, your hips, all the way down to your pelvis. Going out, get the extension. The rising movement is one continuous movement. There is no break between the parts. You want to make the energy flow from the yang meridians to the yin. It will not happen that well if you stop. There are Qigong methods where you stop, but it doesn't work for gods. Be sure you look forward. Don't let your eyes drift down. Let your eyes relax. As your hands rise, have a sense of energy projecting slightly out of your eyes. And then when your hands come back, have a sense of pulling it into you. Your hands come up, really extend. So you get the sense of the yang parts of your body, your back and your arms, raising your arms up in the air. The air has some resistance. What you want to do is that you want to have a feeling that you're pushing through that resistance as your arms rise up. And this will cause the yang qi of your body to output more, because that is what it normally does when it feels it has to overcome some resistance. The yang energy in your body will naturally activate. And complete this movement and then pause. And relax. Some sense of movement in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, that was good. That was, for me, it was a fuller sort of wall-to-wall experience.
Good. Well, you can play with it in the other movements too, although we'll work on
Yeah.
that as we go along. But this is a good place to really develop this in movement one. So, any thoughts or questions?
No.
No, that was good, David.
Okay,
Yep.
great. Well, have a good week.
You too. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll
Thank you.
see you next week.
Sounds good.
I hope you continue and improve, Bill.
Oh, thank you.
Don't overdo.
Right. Yep. Thank you, David.
Okay.
Take care, all.
You
Bye,
too, Bill.
guys.
Take care. Everybody leaving you alone, Adam?
By some miracle, I wasn't sure how this was gonna go. But yeah, by some miracle today they are. So getting away with it.
All right.
Yeah, hopefully next week I should be able to be there in person.
Good. Good.
So,
Well, this probably you need to go at this point.
yeah, I probably should. Also, there's really no room in the office to do
Okay.
form stuff.
Yeah.
But maybe next week we can do some when I'm there in person. I did try it and go through a few flows last week while I was on break there, so it's feeling pretty good.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, we'll look at a couple of things next week, hopefully.
Okay, that sounds
right.
good.
Take
Well,
care.
have a good week, David. We'll see you soon.
Okay, you too.
All right, bye.
Bye.